Hi, everyone. Just wanted to check in one more time, make sure that everybody can hear me all right and they can all see the student life presentation on their screens. If for any reason you're having issues with seeing the presentation, let us know in the chat and we can uh, work with you and solve that issue for you. We're going to get rolling here in probably 3 to 5 minutes. We are still waiting on a few people to sign in. So let us know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat, and we will get rolling soon. Thank you, guys. All right, everyone. I just wanted to do one last sound check, make sure everybody could hear me all right and has access to view the student life presentation on their screens at this moment. If anybody is having issues, please let us know in the chat, and we will certainly work those out with you. But in the meantime, I am going to get us started. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for coming in today to join the Student Life panel for our Accepted Student Stays virtual event series. We're really disappointed that we're not able to welcome you all to campus to show you everything wonderful that the University of Hartford has to offer. But we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to see it all firsthand. So this is where we landed, and we hope that we can, certainly reach everything that you're hoping for and give you all the information you need to make that final decision. I'm also going to introduce myself to start. My name is Nate Barrage. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Admission at the University of Hartford. I've been around the university for about a year now, and one thing I can tell you is that starting a new job at a university is similar to coming in as a fresh student. So this community has embraced me with open arms, and I'm sure that they will do the same for you. The exciting piece of today is that we have a great panel lined up for you that is just chomping at the bit to give you all this information and get you really prepared for these next steps at the University of Hartford. So I'm sure you've had enough of hearing my voice for a little bit here, so I'm going to pass on over to them and allow them to begin introducing themselves.
Good afternoon, everybody, or morning if you are on the West Coast. My name is Max Koskoff. I am the Assistant Director here at the University of Hartford for Residential Life. I am here to answer questions about what it's like living in the residence halls, how to apply to our housing, how to actively find a roommate. I use he, him, his pronouns. Additionally, I am also in graduate school here getting an MBA. So that is a little bit about myself. I've been at the institution also in some way, shape, or form for about 10 years. And I can't wait to talk about housing with all of you.
Can everyone hear me okay? Yes. Okay, so sorry about that. My name is Fallon Roberson Roby. I am the Assistant Director of Student Engagement here at the University of Hartford. So anything related to campus activities team, major programming here on campus, I'm the one that can answer most of those questions for you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Reid. I am the Assistant Director of Greek Life. So I oversee our fraternities and sororities, and I also oversee all of our student leadership opportunities. I've been at the University of Hartford for about 2 years now. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Cote, and I'm the Assistant Director for Engagement, Support, and Development in the Office of Student Engagement and Inclusion with Fallon and Anthony. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I've been at UHart for almost 4 years now, so I'm pretty much a senior, kind of. And I work with our commuter students, our identity-based organizations or our multicultural organizations, and I do some diversity, equity, and inclusion programming, and I also work with our community service programs.
I'm Jaden Marikas. I am a sophomore here at the University of Hartford. I'm studying data analytics, politics, and international studies. I'm also a part of the Student Government Association. I'm the president of our Queer Alliance here on campus. I am an orientation leader, and I'm the residential facilities assistant.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ivana. I am a senior, which still sounds absolutely crazy to say. I am pursuing a dual degree in the College of Arts and Sciences, so a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a minor in Environmental Studies. I've been rather involved my last 4 years. I've been in student government for 4 years, and this year I am a student representative to the Board of Regents. I've been a resident assistant for the past 3 years. This year I am the Emerging Leaders RA for Hawk Hall, which has probably been one of my favorite experiences. I've been a TA, I work at Institutional Advancement, and I'm a member of the Ultimate Frisbee team. Just some cool experiences I've had on campus. I went on a short-term study abroad trip to Kerala, India, to work on a marine debris research project for the National Geographic Society. I've organized a color run here on campus, which is another one of my favorite things. And I have had 3 internships throughout my 4 years, which have all helped me actually solidify a job for next year.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourselves. This is the point where we're going to open it up to you guys. We have some questions that we can certainly answer. Some people were starting to send them in already. So if anybody does have any questions, in the bottom right-hand corner of your view here, there should be a Q&A option. Feel free to type in any questions you have for any of our panelists, and they will certainly go through accordingly. It looks like we're going to start with Max talking a little bit about some of our Res Life policies, procedures, and offerings, and kind of get you guys running right off the bat.
No. Sorry. Wow. I was muted. My bad. Let me start that all over again. Nate, can we hit the slide, please? And I apologize for everyone wasting their time. So, Hawk Hall is where I'm going to start because that's where a lot of the questions have been. So, Hawk Hall is a 5-story building. If you've never been in Hawk Hall, I'm going to try and give you a brief description of it. That is a picture of it. The first floor is classrooms, as well as the lounge, and then the upper 4 stories are residential rooms. Now, what that means for you as a corridor style for a first-year student is that it is one hallway, and there are 50 people living on that floor. If you are someone who is not a fan of noise, if you are someone who doesn't like to be distracted, if you are someone who really enjoys their living environment and one who really enjoys quietness, Hawk Hall may not be the best environment for you, and that is perfectly acceptable. Hawk Hall is co-ed by floor. There is, both genders have restrooms. There's also laundry on every single floor in Hawk Hall. There are 8 RLCs, learning communities, RLC for short, including honors, creative arts, sustainability, social justice and leadership, wellness, global community and engagement, which some of the other presenters are facilitating in the fall, as well as e-gaming, which is new for this year. And each of those have a staff associate with it. And what I mean by that is it is part of your class schedule. It meets every other week in the fall, and then every 3 weeks in the spring. And so when you get registered for that experience, or when you apply and get accepted into that experience, it is the faculty or the staff associates of that experience who are the ones selecting who they want to bring in. And then they give me the list, and then we kind of put everyone in there together. So you can request up to your top 2 RLCs, and then we just, or the staff Wow. Or the associates pick them. From there, that's a little bit about Hawk Hall. So again, big takeaways is that there's a class associated around that specific theme, and it is a hallway of 50 persons. And if you're not someone who is going to be successful in that hallway of 50 people, then a traditional style building may be better suited for you. Can I elaborate on the wellness community of Hawk Hall? The wellness community of Hawk Hall is a community that is really about trying to be full. They do activities such as yoga. They do activities of relaxation and kind of spiritual guidance, I believe, in the past. It's every different RLC does a unique thing. And I would actually have Ivana really kind of talk about a little bit more about that because she is an RA there and she also knows what her peers are doing. We're going to go to the complexes next, which is the next slide, I think. So the complexes overview is it is a suite style and it's more of a small, tight-knit community. So if you're someone who is going to be successful, instead of having 50 people on a floor, having between 8 and 12 people on a floor, this may be better for you. You do not need to apply to be a part of the complexes or neighborhoods. It's just how it's our traditional style housing. The nice part about the neighborhoods and the complexes, it's one and the same. I just switched language a little bit. I apologize. Is that it is recently renovated in the basements. So there are renovated laundry rooms, TV lounges, game rooms, e-gaming rooms, as well as study spaces, all in the basements. And they came out really nice. There is also free laundry everywhere on campus, and every single first-year student has access to their own air conditioning, as well as Xfinity through internet TV, as well as their own DVR. So I'm going to kind of pause there. I'm going to go back to the Q&A, and we're going to try and answer some Q&As.
All right, I'm going to invite Ivana in real quick now to talk a little bit about one of her study abroad opportunities and some of our internships to give you guys a little bit more information on that.
Hi, everyone. So yes, I also have some amazing faculty advisors that have helped so much with my career over the past 4 years. I've had 3 internships. The first is at the Connecticut Office of the Arts, where I worked with the American with Disabilities Coordinator to help make art museums in the greater Hartford area more accessible. After that, I worked on a senatorial campaign to help get Senator Chris Murphy reelected. And this past summer, I was an intern at Phoenix Environmental Laboratories. I was a lab technician, and I tested drinking water samples to make sure that levels were compliant with EPA levels. And all of those internships really lined up almost perfectly with my majors, and I was able to gain such a valuable experience from them. And those internships were kind of the primary reason why I was able to acquire the jobs that I have for next year. As for my study abroad trip, my politics and government faculty member is a National Geographic explorer, and I went on a trip with her to Kerala, India this past winter, so I was able to bring in the new year on the shorelines of India. We did a marine debris study where we went and we worked with local faculty members at the University of Kerala, and we picked up marine debris and we classified, and we also submitted a policy report. There's actually a video up on National Geographic if you want to see this study. And we took the research that we did and I brought it back to campus, and I'm currently finishing my capstone on this. So those are some of the internships that I've had. It's also really easy to acquire internships and to study abroad. You can reach out to your faculty members, career services. Everyone that I've reached out to has helped me. Sometimes there's just like too many opportunities being thrown at you, but I've had a wonderful experience.
Great, Ivana. Thank you for sharing. That was extremely insightful. I want to bring it back to Max, if at all possible here. We had some questions about dining options. I wanted to have him elaborate on that, and then maybe grab Jaden in afterwards for some student perspective for you folks.
That would be great. One of the ones I saw was about meal equivalencies. Overall dining, every single student who lives on campus needs to have some sort of meal plan. There are a bunch of different options when it comes to meal plans. We have one main residential dining hall called the University Commons, which is a meal swipe. It is a buffet style. From there, we also have different dining options, which take either meal equivalencies or dining dollars, depending upon which meal plan you have. And one of the things I'm going to try and find is the link and link it all in there of the website for dining dollars and meal plans. But meal equivalencies only work with some of the plans. Dining dollars you can always add, and dining dollars work at things like our Conover Market, Subway, our GSU cafeteria, which has Einstein's, Moe's, as well as some other different restaurant-type eateries, grab-and-go type eateries. But overall, meal equivalencies themselves only work with some of the meal plans. So if you go to one of those meal plans, then you would get meal equivalencies. And I welcome Jaden to kind of talk about his experience with meal equivalencies.
Hi guys. Can you hear me? Okay. So I actually did not have meal equivalencies last year as I had the student leadership plan as an RFA. But I do know a lot of people who had them and they really enjoyed being able to use like a meal equivalency for a meal because then you're not spending your dining dollars, and it was very beneficial. My friends really loved it. And the dining plans here are really, they're really great. The dining dollars are fantastic, especially when it comes to going to the Conover Market and grabbing a snack before you have class and things like that.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Max, for that information, and Jaden for the student perspective. That's always helpful in this time of the decision-making process. We did also get a variety of questions on Greek life on campus, so I'm going to hand it over now to Anthony to talk a little bit further about those opportunities.
What's the process? It's kind of getting to know the chapters that we have on campus. We have 5 sororities and 7 fraternities as well.
Hi, Anthony. I think you're broken off a little bit there. Might have been muted to start. Do you mind starting from the beginning on that one?
Sure, no problem. So what I was saying is, in order to join Greek life, because that was one of the questions that I got, was in order to join Greek life, you do have to be a second semester freshman. You need a 2.5 GPA and about 12 credits. So you don't join as soon as you get to school because we want students to kind of get acclimated to the University of Hartford first before they join Greek life. And in terms of kind of how many students, about 11% of our students do go Greek, so that's about a little bit over 400 students. We do have 7 fraternities and 5 sororities on campus as well.
Awesome, Anthony. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
We had a question as well about the LGBTQ+ community on campus, so I'm going to hand that over to Lisa to speak about that.
Hi again. First, I'm sorry that my cat keeps trying to become a panelist as well, so if you see ears in the screen, I'm sorry. But we have a pretty thriving LGBTQ+ group of students on campus. Spectrum is the organization that's geared specifically towards that population. And as Jaden mentioned, I believe he's the president, so I'm going to let him tag in just a second. But we have a number of faculty and staff members who are very dedicated to making sure that our LGBTQ students specifically have all of their needs met, and they may have some unique needs. So we work really hard to make sure that those students know that they're welcome and included on our campus. The Office of Career and Professional Development actually has a specific queer programming series in terms of the queer job search and looking at what some additional challenges might be for that population in their job search and how to kind of go through that process as someone who identifies that way. So I'm going to let Jaden tag in on this and add in anything else about Spectrum, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the drag show, which is pretty magical.
Yeah, absolutely. The University of Hartford is one of the most accepting places for LGBT students that I've ever been. It was part of the reason why I came here and part of the reason why I joined Spectrum and eventually became president. We have a very large community on campus that identifies as LGBTQ+ or as an ally. So Spectrum events are open to the entire campus. The biggest one that we do in the fall semester is our yearly drag show, which showcases both professional and student drag queens. It's usually a big hit. It's so fun to put together, so fun to be a part of. And then our two biggest events in our spring semester are our prom that we always do, just because we know that some students didn't exactly get the prom experience that they wanted or needed in high school. We always throw one in college just so everyone can get that beautiful prom experience that we all deserve. And then we always do a shadow cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is really fun, and it takes a lot of preparation, but it's great to be a part of it.
Awesome. Thank you both for that. That's great information for us to diffuse to our students here. I'm going to pass it over to, let's see, to Fallon next to talk a little bit about their areas and answer some of the questions that they've gotten.
All right, so take two. So one of the questions that I got in regards to like diverse organizations here on campus, so I wasn't able to share the full list, but some of our multicultural organizations and our community-based organizations, so like Jaden said, Spectrum. We also offer organizations for those who identify with being Caribbean American Student Association. That's our CASA group. We also have the Hispanic and Latino Student Association as well, for anyone that identifies with that culture. We also have on campus the Muslim Student Association. To be honest, there's probably a group out there for everyone. The International Student Association, we also have on campus as well. In terms of diversity, Haitian Cultural Association, African Student Union, the Asian Student Association as well is here on campus. We're also in the process of launching a database later down the line. So when you all come in for your first year, you'll be able to access that and be able to navigate on that software to see in that platform to see what organizations are available to participate in and also be a part of. Another question that I received was how can students sign up for clubs and organizations, specifically club sports? In collaboration with the Student Government Association, our office works to promote and spearhead the club fair. The club fair starts at the beginning of the fall and spring semester, and I can have Yvonne and Jaden talk more about that and their experience in collaborating with us on that as well. But that's also the time where students can kind of shop around and see what clubs and organizations are available to them and sign up, especially more on the club sports side. I'll ask Yvonne to kind of jump in and talk about that as well. But that's an opportunity for students to get involved at the beginning of the school year.
think I can continue off of what Fallon was just talking about. So with the club fair, I actually had the opportunity to organize the club fair my junior and my senior year. So there is a position within the student government that their job is to organize the block party and have clubs attend. It's probably one of my favorite events during the first opening weekend. You have about 95 clubs and community partners, and it's kind of set up like, it's set up fair style so that you can walk and view each club. And we have a lot of clubs here that are very proud of their organization. So I can talk mostly about the Women's Ultimate Frisbee team, if you can see the Frisbees that I have in the back. We have about 30 girls on our team, and we are just we're all very excited. So we dress up in our team jerseys, we bring out our Frisbees, we bring out different games and activities. We also host a scrimmage at the end of the club fair. So if anyone is really interested and wants to see how Ultimate's played, they can follow us to the sports field. And for the men's Ultimate team, they have about 75 members. So they're a very, very popular team. But the club fair and getting involved with club sports, I genuinely highly recommend it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to pass it over to Lisa here now. We had a couple questions asked about the mental health resources for students, so she's going to be able to touch on that a little bit.
Absolutely. So we have an office on campus called Counseling and Psychological Services, which we typically just refer to as CAPS. And they have licensed counselors who work there, as well as doctoral students who are getting in their clinical hours. And they offer counseling and therapy services to students. It's included in the tuition for all full-time undergraduate students. So if you utilize CAPS services as an undergrad full-time student, then you don't have to pay anything additional for their services. They have individual counseling sessions as well as group therapy. And I think next year, one of the initiatives they're working on is putting together a group therapy session for particularly students of color, with an understanding that their experience might be a little bit different than some of the white students' experience on campus, and that they may have unique needs and experiences that they would understand particularly. So there's going to be a group specific for that in the spring. Oh, sorry, one thing I forgot to mention that's really cool is that this semester, while we're doing remote learning, CAPS is actually offering remote therapy sessions, which is really great because I'm not sure if every school is doing that, but they're working really hard to make sure that they're supporting our students during this really tough time. So just wanted to add that in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. So I'm going to ask Max to come back on in. We had a couple questions about the RA process, how to become an RA, as well as a few questions about the layout of the complexes and kind of the logistics of that. So if he doesn't mind popping back up.
So I'm going to do complexes first, because then I'm going to ask Ivana to kind of help me with the RA part. So complexes you do not have to apply for. It's just our standard traditional housing. It is, you walk in, there's a lobby there, and then it is stairwells, one to the left, one to the right, and it is 4 stories high, and each floor is gender by floor. And there are roughly 8 to 12 people per that one floor. So this picture that we have in front of us, that is one building, one of 4 buildings in that complex. That is B complex. And from that, there are 2 RAs per that building. So it's one of those experiences where you may not have an RA right on your floor, but you have one either right above you or right below you. And the RAs are all around campus. They're there to help you with resources. They're an advocate for you. They're there to help make your experience better as a residential student on this campus. So that's a little bit about the complexes, unless there are more specific questions. And if there are, please put them in the Q&A and I can try and get to them. As for the RA process, the RA process starts in October. A few things I want to kind of highlight about the RA process is the RA position, RA stands for resident assistant, is a part-time job, and most people don't necessarily think of it that way, but it is about a 20-hour-a-week position. And you're there to support your peers, you're there to support the community as a whole. You're on duty, you're dealing with roommate conflicts, you're dealing with crisis. It's a great leadership experience position, but it is also a part-time job. However, it being a job, it does give you free housing as well as free meal plan for the year. So that is a large savings. You apply in roughly November is when the application goes live, and then you have until usually the second week of January to actually turn in your application. And then it's reviewed, there's an interview. Every year we kind of tweak it to conform to best practices, and because we learn each year about what our candidates are and who we are as an office, as well as we kind of change our needs as an office sometimes. So based upon that, we usually end up hiring, so total campus-wide next year there are 69 RAs. Out of those 69, I believe 36 were returners, and the other 33 are new people. Out of those 33 new people, we had 200 applicants. And so it is a competitive process, but it is also a process because of the financial commitment that it entails. Before I let Ivana hop in, we also have something very unique to the University of Hartford, and I know something can't be very unique because unique is unique itself. But we have something unique to the University of Hartford in which we have a residential facilities program. This is a different group of student leaders who also get free room and free board, and Jaden is a member of this group, and they basically do the upkeep of the facilities part. So as much as RAs work on the emotional community building side, Jaden and Jaden's team really works on the facility side. So if there's a problem at 1 a.m. because a light goes out or the blind breaks or a window cracks, Jaden and the RFAs are there to really fix that problem in a 24/7 capacity. So I think at this point, it's fair to both of them to kind of do a little bit more about what that position does for not only them, but kind of helps the community.
Hi, Max. That was actually a perfect description of the RA process. So yes, I've been an RA for 3 years. I applied my first year, and I was in C Complex for 2 years, and I'm in Hawk Hall this year. And just to add on, like, yes, it is a job, but it's not something that I don't really view it as a job, mostly because it's something I'm so passionate about and has really just helped me grow as a person this year. My residents, they actually call me their floor mom, and my floor partner is their floor dad, and they say that we are their parents away from home. And even though, like, as students, we have a lot to worry about with our classes, it's nice knowing, and when I had an RA, my RA was actually the one that helped me declare my major and has still been such an impactful person in my life. So it's nice for me to know that I can use my experiences to help these up-and-coming students. I was actually able to engage every single one of my residents in a club sport, an activity, Greek life for next year, and I made sure that going into their sophomore year, they had some form of involvement within the university. We have 5 members in student government, 7 members in Greek life, and others have taken on position as club leaders. So that for me is just a truly rewarding job, and it's just nice to know that I can use my experiences to help. There are downsides of the job. there are typically a lot of roommate conflicts. However, I have been able to improve my communication skills by learning how to mediate two people arguing, and the arguments can stem from I want the room to be warm versus I want the room to be cold versus I don't like your color scheme. There's the arguments can be virtually everything, but I'm happy that I was able to be there to help mediate this and to create a diverse and inclusive community on my floor so that all my residents are happy this year. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Max and Yvonne. Jaden, go ahead and hop in.
Thank you. Great description of the RFAs, Max. Thank you so much for including us. This year there were 18 RFAs, Residential Facilities Assistant. I believe we are now going to have about 23, around that number off the top of my head next year. So what we do is if there's anything facilities related that goes wrong at any night, the student would call public safety would call us, and we go and we fix or address the problem. There's been nights where there are a lot of things, there are like nights when there's a few things, and we also do preventative maintenance. If we see that there's a light out somewhere in like one of the parking lots, we'll go and we'll report it and make sure that that gets taken care of. It's a great community of different people, a very diverse community of different people who come together for the same purpose, just to make sure that everything is going according to plan. And I've learned a lot of skills, life skills, from being this, both just in the handiwork portion of it, in the facilities, because I work also during the summer as an RFA, where I worked with, directly with the university electricians, so I got to learn a little bit of that. And then I got to learn a lot more interpersonal skills and how to work together on projects that I normally wouldn't, because outside of the classroom, you really find a lot of different ways to learn. So thank you.
Great. We got a couple of questions as well about community service opportunities on campus. So I'm going to have Lisa come in and chime in on that.
Hello, it's me again. So for community service opportunities on campus, we really encourage students to take ownership over their experience. So we have a list of community partners on our website who we have successfully worked with in the past. Most of them are in Hartford, West Hartford, and Bloomfield. And we encourage students to reach out directly to those community partners and schedule their service, connect directly with them. And then we, if it's possible, we have a community service van on campus where we can offer students rides to and from their service opportunities. I'm not sure if that's changing for next year, but as of right now, we do have a van available. And so we help students with that. We also have some students who, through their financial aid, qualify for community service federal work study, which means that you can get your federal financial aid and work with one of our nonprofit community partners. So you would be working for them and then getting paid through your work study. That's really all I know about that. So if you have more questions, I'm so sorry, you're going to have to talk to financial aid. And then we do have a couple programs that we run on campus. So we have our Angel Tree program, which we do every November into December. We work with 2 local nonprofit organizations to provide holiday gifts for their clients. So typically we end up collecting about 150 gifts from faculty, staff, and students around campus to distribute to these nonprofit organizations. We also have a biennial, so every other year, alternative spring break trip, which means that over spring break, we take a group of 40 or 50 students on a bus to wherever they need us. So the past 3 trips we've done were Tennessee, and that was focused on environmentalism. We went to Houston, Texas, and did hurricane relief work after Hurricane Harvey, I think. And then last year we went to Wilmington, North Carolina, and did hurricane relief work there as well. So it's not a glamorous trip, but it's a great time. We do really great service work. Some of those life skills that Jaden was talking about learning as an RFA, I've learned on my alternative break trips. And then our final service event that we plan every year is our Helping Hawks Day of Service. So we work with about 20 to 25 nonprofit organizations in the Hartford area and get about 300 volunteers between students, faculty, staff, and alumni, and send people out to the community to do great work with all these organizations. So that happens every April, typically towards the beginning of the month.
Great, thank you, Lisa. Just scrolling through your questions here, folks. Feel free to keep them coming in. We have a few for Fallon here regarding campus events, so I'm going to let her take the lead.
Hello. Okay, I'm back. I am trying to also type as fast as I can, but keep the questions coming. So I was actually getting ready to respond back to a question in regards to inclusive programming that we do on campus, and then what kind of programs, events, and what do the clubs do on campus in support for students of color. So I'm going to break it down just a little bit. So our office, Student Engagement and Inclusion, Lisa and I will work together on multiple DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So for example, one thing that we'll try and do is connect some of our student organizations with our office to promote a larger scale program where we are connecting to students of color. So for example, as I look at the calendar for our upcoming year, one of our larger programs that we'll work on for Hispanic Heritage Month is collaborating with our Hispanics and Latino Student Association organization, also known as HLSA, to sponsor like a larger movie night where we'll talk about a movie based within that culture and have like a group discussion in that sense there. One event that we did for Black History Month, our campus activities team held a curls and coil where we talked about curly hair and how to take care of that. And also it was a panelist where it was led by students who had different hair textures and were in the state of natural hair care. So that was a led event where we also related it back to some of the influence from Madam C.J. Walker and kind of clarifying some of the perception in the sense of like she invented the perm, and actually that's not the case. More so she helped develop hair care products in order to maintain and help promote healthy hair growth. So that was a great discussion, and we also offered free hair care samples that we received from major companies as well. So another program that we were going to work on as well, unfortunately, Corona came, was our Freedom Seder, and that was a larger event that was going to take place with our Hillel group on campus and basically bring all students of different colors in one room, and we would just talk about different ways to better ourselves, but then also what are some of today's microaggressions that we need to address, and how do we take that into consideration and move and develop together as all people to kind of like better the community in that sense there. So even from a larger scale, that's kind of what our office does, but even on a smaller scale, our clubs and organizations are constantly posting different type of programs and events. For example, our African Student Union, they host a Royal Roots event, which is just a night and celebration acknowledging and uplifting the African culture. It includes music, food, traditional foods, and they'll actually have like a different program as well each year. It kind of changes. Going back to HLSA, they have their annual Latin night, and that includes a night of where they kind of go back in time, talk about the strength and history of the organization, but then also it includes, again, traditional foods from that culture, and they'll have traditional music, and they'll collaborate with our international office as well to bring in different type of bands and musicians for that program. So I hope that kind of answers it. If not, just send me more messages in the chat, and I'll try to type as fast as I can there, trying to reach everyone. So hopefully that helps that question there.
Great, awesome. We also had some questions come up about commuter activities and different ways that commuters can get involved on campus. So I'm gonna have Lisa come back in and talk to you guys about that.
I'm sorry if you all are getting tired of me. So I also work with our commuter student population. So part of that is that we have a commuter lounge in the garden level or first floor of Gengris Student Union. So the commuter lounge includes couches, chairs, tables, a TV, game systems, a refrigerator, a microwave, a Keurig, and computers. So pretty much, hopefully, anything a commuter student would need in between classes, so that you don't have to go home in between classes. So we know that commuters have unique needs. So we have the refrigerator so that people can store their lunches in there, the microwave to warm them up. And then we also know that you're not always doing homework. So we do offer game systems and board games that people can borrow from the Commuter Student Association office. So I'm the advisor for this group of students who work on planning programs, but also advocacy for commuter students. So this year, they took a hard look at parking on campus, worked with the Student Government Association, Public Safety, and the Dean of Students to advocate for some changes to commuter parking policies, and definitely made some headway on that. One of our other big initiatives this year is that we did a commuter student survey to really gauge what the needs and interests of commuters are, so that we're not doing the same programs all the time that aren't actually what people are looking for. And if there are other issues other than parking that people want us to advocate for, we know what those are. So one of our students also worked with student government to secure some lockers where commuters can store some of their items in between classes, just to take a little bit of a load off, especially for students who don't drive to campus. And we're always available. So if there's anything that our commuter students are looking for and can't find on campus, they can reach out to the Commuter Student Association or directly to me, and we'll work to get them whatever it is that they need.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. I'm going to hand it over to Jaden and Yvonne. We had a couple of questions about things to do off campus around the area of West Hartford. And I know, Jaden, you wanted to talk about your internship a little bit and then dive into some of the things you like to do outside of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different opportunities given to us as students by the school. One that I was really proud of last year that I got as a freshman, I interned for our representative for the District of West Hartford at the Connecticut Legislative Office Building and at the Capitol of the Connecticut State Capitol. And I worked with her on a lot of policy work and advocacy work. And I got to really put my knowledge into what was actually happening in the government. Even as a freshman, I got that internship, and it actually became a full-time job for me now because I'm actually her campaign manager for her reelection because we worked together so well that she wanted me to come onto her team and really help her this year. So it was a fantastic way to expand my horizons and explore different things. Other things off campus include there's a shuttle that brings students around Blueback Square and Bishop's Corner. There are a lot of different things in there, and I think Yvonne wanted to talk about a really cool bagel place, so I'm going to let her go.
That was a perfect introduction, Jaden. So actually, fun fact, I really love bagels. We have Einstein's Bagel on campus, and every morning for the past 3 years, I have gotten a bagel. Everyone knows me, I love my jalapeno salsa cream cheese. So whenever I go off campus to Isaac's Bagel, I always get a jalapeno bagel with jalapeno cream cheese, and I see Lisa shaking her head at me. However, there is a lot that you can do off campus. Continuing off what Jaden was talking about, I love to hike and I love running. So there are a lot of places that you can hike in the area. There's different trails. If you're willing to make maybe a 30-minute drive, there's a lot of local waterfalls. I usually grab my best friend on the weekend and we try to hike some different areas or just kind of explore the greater Hartford area. Someone had asked a question about internships, and I think Jaden had properly answered it. You are able to get an internship as a first-year student. I was able to get an internship in my second semester as a first-year student and every summer after that. As for, so I talked a little bit before about my experiences going abroad. I had actually had a study abroad trip planned my sophomore year, but due to family issues, I had to actually cancel that. However, I went through the entire process of organizing a trip abroad. I was supposed to go to Athens, Greece, which hopefully I'll go to after graduating, but the study abroad office is an amazing office to work with. They really help you with your major. I'm finishing a dual degree, which is technically a 5-year program, and they were able to help me get my labs abroad, work through all my chemistry courses abroad, which is something I didn't think was possible to do going abroad. However, they really sit down with you and they try to find a program that keeps you on track and might even be able to save you some money on housing and even put you a little bit ahead in your general education requirements. So if you're able to study abroad, I highly recommend it. What I was able to learn in India was just, it blows my mind away. I was able to see a different culture, a different society, and use the knowledge that I gained in science and public policy to really help an entire community. So if your student or yourself wants to go abroad, highly recommend the Study Abroad office. But if you're free on the weekends, please go to the bagel place and try the jalapeno bagel out. It is a really, really good bagel. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to Ivana's TED Talk about the bagel place. We've been getting a lot of questions as well about when students can expect to see their class schedules. So I'm going to touch on that one real quick. Students typically would have received their class schedules when they came to campus for orientation. So at this point, we are still operating under the assumption that we will have our orientations on campus. So you will be receiving them at that point. You'll also meet your advisor at that point and be able to make any changes that you'd like with them. If they do go virtual or remote with orientations, you'll receive them most likely via email around the same time. So keep your eye out for any updates with that from the Office of Orientation. But I'm going to send it over to Max now. It sounds like he had a couple questions about campus safety and the roommate selection process that he wanted to touch on.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. So the roommate selection process is you apply for housing. In that you can request a roommate. We don't do roommate pairing until late June, so you have all this time till then to meet people online. If orientation does happen, we can do it there. We can let us know. As long as you and the other person mutually request one another, we can make that happen. The only problem is where it gets a little bit difficult is hot call, because again, hot call, you have to be paired with the same one you have to be paired with someone in the same learning community. But if you email reslife@hartford.edu, we can easily try and work through those little intricacies and roommate matching problems. As for, I got a few questions about public safety and campus crime rate. Our crime rate is public knowledge. Every college legally has to disclose their crime rate. If you search any college's website, it's called the Clery Act, also named by Jean Cleary. So that's on our website. I think it's right actually on the homepage. So I can tell you, and again, Jaden and Ivana can chime in too, campus is very safe. Again, though, on any college campus, you have to own your own safety, I think. From that experience, it is really important that you also not only own your safety, but you, like, for example, lock your doors. You'd be surprised how many people don't lock their doors of their residence hall rooms. You need to lock your doors. So campus is safe. We do have a public safety department that is on call 24/7, 365 days a year. There are 2 offices that work 365 days a year, or 3: facilities, residential life, and public safety. And so those 3 offices are here to support the campus community as a whole. Public safety can get anywhere on campus in about 40 seconds. We have blue light systems. We even have an app that will say for emergency response. If you want to download it, you can. It will work even globally. So it's one of those really interesting parts, but campus is safe. And I just want to reiterate that.
Awesome. Thank you, Max. Appreciate that. You know, I always recommend to everybody as well, check out that Clear Act on the university's website. It's certainly good information to know and kind of have in your back pocket when you go anywhere, really. I just want to let everyone know that we're still taking questions, so feel free to send some in. I have a couple more questions regarding advisors and course registration. So I just wanted to touch on that. Again, you'll meet your advisor in person at orientation. Otherwise, first year, you'll be assigned an advisor in our Center for Student Success that is specific to your school and college. So they will really have a sense of what your next steps are in terms of progressing through your program, so they'll be able to help you out during that time. And that's when you will get your schedule as well, as during orientation when you meet them. Again, our plan at this point in time is to have orientation on campus. If for any reason that changes with the state of our nation right now, that might change and we might go virtual with it. So keep your eye on your email for things like that. There was also a question about dual enrollment courses. If anybody's taken dual enrollment courses in high school and you want those credits to transfer in, we would just need a transcript from your high school that states that those are dual enrollment courses, and typically some sort of documentation from the school that those courses are from. And then our Office of Admission does a full credit evaluation to determine how those credits will transfer in. So certainly things that we'll take a look at and let you know either at orientation or when you step foot on campus of how many credits you already have. That looks like all the questions I have. Again, keep your questions coming in here, folks. We're doing our best to keep up with them, whether that's typing or talking. So I'm going to, since we're on the topic of academics, I'm going to hand it back over to Ivana, where she can chat a little bit about that and her study abroad experience again.
I've actually gotten a couple questions about academics, asking about minoring, double majoring, and just the other options to take with your degree. I do have to say there are so many options you can take with your degree, and I actually challenge you to kind of find out the multiple minors, majors, and areas that you can study. So I started off as a biochemistry pre-med major, and I decided within probably the 5th or 6th day of school that I did not want to go to med school. So I reached out to my advisors to see the different options I can take, and that's when I learned about double majoring. So a double major still completes the 120 credit requirement. You can double major between colleges. I am doing a chemistry degree for my primary major and a political science degree, which at first I thought was virtually impossible. However, working with your advisors, working with the Center for Student Success, and working with just like individual departments, you're able to complete 2 majors. Also, I also recommend adding on a minor. So an environmental studies minor really helped out with my major and is actually what I will continue my career after college. A minor is typically 18 credits. However, if you decide that it's something you want to do earlier on, you can kind of plan your major around that. So I guess my advice would be reach out to your advisors, and if there's something that you're interested in, even if it doesn't align directly with your course of study, you can easily add on a minor and just have like a broader experience and more like skills to add after you graduate. Thank you.
Awesome. And it sounds like Lisa has a little bit to add into the identity organizations that she'd like to touch on here, so we'll hand off to her.
So Fallon did a great job of listing them off the top of her head earlier. I just wanted to reiterate that there is a group for everyone, and if there's not one yet, it is super simple to start a student organization through SGA. I did actually pull up the full list of all of the identity orgs just to rattle them off for everybody and talk a little bit about some of their big programming. So as Fallon mentioned, some of these, we have the Asian Student Association, the African Student Union, Brothers and Sisters United, the Caribbean American Student Association, Phenomena, which is a performance group, Gospel Choir, the Haitian Cultural Association, Hispanic and Latino Student Association, the Muslim Student Association, NAACP, National Society for Black Engineers, I don't know what it stands for, National Black Law Student Association. So those have fun names. The National Student for Black Engineers is NSBE, and for Black Law Students is BOLSA. And then we have SIS, which is Strong Independent Sisters, and STEPAs, which is obviously a STEP group. So all of these organizations do a ton of work throughout the year, and our office works really hard to support them in any way that we can. So right before campus got shut down, we had the Asian Student Association hosted a Jewels of Asia Gala, which showcased 5 or 6 different cultures through performances and food. Strong Independent Sisters also hosted a tea party to talk about professionalism and femininity and how those play into each other. SLSA every year hosts an event called Latin Night, which is a great time. BSU has their fashion show, which is a huge event every year and a big fundraiser for the BSU Book Fund, which helps support students who may not be able to afford textbooks and help them make sure that they can be academically successful and that the cost of textbooks is not a barrier. So all of our student groups do really great work, but that's just a longer listing of who we have included in our office and who we work directly with. So just wanted to put that up there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for that list. I'm going to hand over to Jaden again. They have something that they want to talk about regarding environmental sustainability efforts. So kudos to you.
Hi, so I actually am the current chair of the Student Government Association Environmental and Sustainability Committee. And this year we've done a lot of different work in making our campus a lot more sustainable and a lot more environmentally friendly. The first thing that we did was we actually started a composting initiative in our main dining hall in the Commons that we are currently working on expanding to other places on campus. We've also gotten more recycling bins and a more centralized way to recycle on campus, and that's, again, something that we're working on improving. But this year, we also started using more biodegradable options in our food places and things like that. And as Ivana could probably speak on more, that there is a sustainability RLC. So this campus is really trying our best. We are making so many great strides to be more environmentally sustainable. And I just thought that would be a really cool thing to talk about.
Ivana, do you want to touch on some of the things that the RLC has done?
Yeah. So my specific RLC is Emerging Leaders, and there's actually, I think Max mentioned it before, there's a class associated with the Emerging Leaders and the Honors RLC, and I've gotten a couple questions about the Honors, the Wellness, and the other RLCs. There's not a class required for each RLC, however, some of them do have that. So within Hawk Hall and just within the Sustainability RLC for next year, we do a lot of tailored programming. So I work with my residents to get them more involved on campus. I was organizing an event that was supposed to be in our spring weekend, actually this weekend, and I had a lot of my residents on board with me. They were going to help and participate. However, I know that my residents are more interested in leadership and getting out in campus. There is also the community service RLC that was around this past year, and Lisa did a fantastic job with community service. They helped to raise money for different organizations in the Hartford area. Also on my floor was the Global Engagement RLC, and each meeting they would try different foods from different restaurants in the Hartford area, because there's a lot of restaurants. And I'm not going to give another TED Talk about food, but there's a lot of amazing restaurants that you can go to. So I think that's all I would have to say about like the RLCs in Hawk Hall. Definitely an inclusive community, and you will make some of your best friends. I'm leaving college with 4 of my best friends that were all my fellow staff members this year.
Great. It was great information, and it certainly gives a little bit more insight into what the RLCs offer from a student perspective as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let everybody, or put out one last call for questions. So if anybody has any questions that they still would like answered, please send them into the Q&A. And while we're waiting for some of those to come in, I'm going to ask all of our panelists, what is one thing that you truly love about the University of Hartford? This will be nice for everybody because it's going to give you both a staff and a student perspective. So we can start with Max and kind of go in the same order that we introduced ourselves on the screen.
Okay, I have to think on the spot. So I think one of the things I love about the University of Hartford, 2 things come to mind. One is the students that choose to come here are here for academics. They're here to find their own successes. They are here to become better humans of the world. And I think that's the easiest way to phrase that. They are hardworking, they're dedicated, they are here to make a difference in the greater community's lives. Which brings me to my second thing that I love about this community is the community itself. I think this is a special place. Like I said at the beginning, I've been here in some way, shape, or form for about 10 years. People don't stay in the same place for 10 years unless they have to or if they want to, and I want to. And I think here it really is a special, whether that is my colleagues who I'm sharing the screen with, students like Jaden and Ivana, or just my random RAs or my staff that are around. This place is special because the people are what make it special.
Okay, so trying to collect my thoughts, going after Max, who said something so amazing. But honestly, what drew me to the University of Hartford was the space in the community where students can actually have the freedom to be creative, and creative in the sense of just from the clubs and organization side of it, coming together and, you know, finding that common goal or that whatever that is that brings folks together and says that, okay, this is a club or organization that we're going to create, and then just watching that progression go from like birth to adulthood. I think what also draws me, and one reason that I think the University of Hartford is special, is the professional, the leadership, academic, and just like professional growth and development that us as staff members get to pour into the students. So it's more along the lines of having that opportunity to help take the tools that supporters and parents have already input into students, and then helping to expand upon it and move forward there. So yeah, that's UHART in a nutshell, just like a space for learning and growing. And that's what drew me here.
Hello, everyone. So I'll try to keep my answer short. So what I would say that I really appreciate or like about the University of Hartford, or makes the University of Hartford special, is that it's a place that provides plenty of opportunities for students, staff, and faculty to get involved, develop, and grow. And another awesome thing that I like is the cookies at the Commons.
Side note, If you are on Instagram, follow UHeart Dining. They posted the cookie recipe from Commons last night. I've already baked some for me and my staff. They came out delicious. Deanna, who is our baker in the University Commons, has won national awards from the Aramark, which is our food service provider corporation. She's won national awards for her desserts, which I think everyone on this panel will say are top notch. But she shared her recipe on Instagram last night.
Sorry, I had to pull up UHeart Dining on Instagram real quick because those cookies are bomb. So I think the thing that I love most about UHeart is the people that I get the chance to interact with. So again, like Max said, my colleagues on this panel and the students who come through our office and who we like find in the hallway and bring into our office. We always find a way to engage with students where they are. And those relationships are so special. It's so sad to be away from them right now. So just the students and how unique our campus population is in terms of the diversity of majors, from having the art school and the Hart School and the College of Engineering and Technology. And like, we have so many different majors and interests all working together and like living together on our campus. And I just think it's really beautiful. And then we do have one of the things that drew me to UHeart was the really high percentage of students of color, because I think that that's amazing and really creates a great learning and growing opportunity for everyone on campus. So that's what I love about UHeart and the cookies.
I love UHeart because all of the faculty and staff are so open to hearing students on their needs, on their desires, on their wants. Students really do have the voice here, and I think that's really important. And there are so many different things to get involved in. I personally am involved in student government and an a cappella group, and different kinds of just different groups on campus. And you can get involved in as many as you want to, as long as it fits into your schedule. And I think that's a really special thing about the university, is just how much the students have a say and feel like they can be heard, and then also that they have the opportunities to engage with each other outside of the majors and within.
I have so many things I could say about this question. I would say now that I'm a graduating senior, the University of Hartford was probably the, hands down, like the best decision that I made. And I'm so happy that I picked this place for school. My favorite thing about the university is that I've always just felt accepted on campus, and I've never felt like out of place. And even like coming back home, like the area that I grew up in, so I was born in South America and then I moved to the US. So I've always kind of just been like, I always felt a little out of place, but being on campus and seeing, first of all, the large Caribbean population on campus blew me away. I never thought I would find somebody else from Guyana, which is a country that has less than 1 million people, but I found 5 people. And just seeing that is what made me feel just accepted, and I felt like I belonged on campus. Also, if I had a question, there was somebody there to answer every question, and I had a lot of questions. I was able to work with financial aid and working with the Board of Regents, and the fact that like I will be graduating in about a month, I'll be finished with my degree, and the experiences that I gained at UHeart will really help me with my career. And the second question, what sets UHeart apart from every other college, is the faculty. Some of the faculty members we have here are rock stars. My professor, Dr. Pence, in the chemistry department, she's actually a nationally ranked professor, and she helped me solidify a job next year. I'll be working in national security at Pacific Northwest National Lab, which means I'm packing up, moving across the country, and if it wasn't for her, I would be quite frantic right now trying to figure out what a job is, what I can do with my degree. However, even starting my junior year, that's when I had this job solidified. So we have faculty and staff members that are there to literally make this place your home for 4 years. So I would just say, like, I love UHeart. I recommend it. It's probably some of the best memories I've had.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that, for those answers that really, you can tell come from the heart. That's another thing that'll stand out to you if you talk to anybody about the University of Hartford who's here, who's been here. They're going to talk about it from a place in their heart, and not all places and schools can say that. So something to keep in mind while you're making this decision. With things dwindling down here, I think we are going to call it an afternoon. I want to thank you all for coming out and let you know of some of our additional programming that's coming up. Tomorrow, we're going to have a panel on career and professional development, hands-on learning opportunities, and things of those varieties. And then next week, the 7 schools and colleges and some specific programs are going to be hosting virtual events. So keep your eyes on your emails for invitations and register for those events, and really continue to learn and dive in. If you have any additional questions, if your question wasn't answered today for any reason, feel free to email any of the accounts at the bottom here, either the admission office, financial aid office, residential life, student engagement and inclusion, or the student government office. There's always people around waiting to help out and help you make this next decision for the next steps of your life. Thank you all again for coming, and please don't hesitate if there's anything we can do for you.